Good evening. My name is Laura Thompson, and you're watching Community Artist Connection. This is a show where I have artists, generally have artists on. Tonight, I'm kind of breaking the mold here. I have John Block with me, and he is an event promoter. And the reason he really fits into this category of an artist is that what he does is he brings artists together, and he promotes them. Right,
That's
John?
right. That's right, Laura.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
The events that I do are all geared towards putting things together that normally would not come together. So I view events as my art form.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, art is original, it has something to say, and it moves people. And that's really what I strive for with my productions that I put on. So typically, yeah, there is a strong performing visual arts component. I get bored easily. It has something to do with it, too. So it's never just an art show, never just a music event, but to have all the mediums covered there in a way that's exciting for people. Take bits of like a club or a concert and kind of fuse it in a way that really works well for the attendees.
Cool. I understand that Ray at Night had something to do with the path you've chosen as far as being an event promoter.
Yeah, that would be very accurate to say. My dear friend Gustav Ruth, I would credit him for that. When I turned 21, I'm a San Diego native, and I turned 21, I had two options socially. It was gas lamp or PB. That's the common trajectory when you turn 21. And I was so bored with both of those. It was getting like hit with a hammer over and over again, just going to those places. It was so monotonous. And it occurred for other people as being exciting and dynamic, which I knew I didn't relate to. And so I went to LA for a while, and then I came back to San Diego, and I was 27. And that's when I found Ray at Night. And I thought, wow, this is what going out is. This is what I want, where you could talk with people and connect with them, but then there was like alcohol, and you could have that community aspect. That was fulfilling for me. And so that was when the switch went on for me, that you could actually have experiences for this for people, and that people would come out to it. That Ray at Night had about 1,000 people at it.
Yeah.
So shortly thereafter, I created Sight and Sound, which would be taking Ray at Night and say going to a show at the Casbah, and basically putting them together. That was the basic idea, hence the name Sight and Sound.
Cool. I understand that you, I don't know if it was you that coined this phrase, but gallery hopping is something that somebody has said what Ray at Night is gallery hopping, which I think when you have that many people in that short block in North Park, they're going from gallery to gallery to gallery. Instead of bar hopping, it's gallery hopping.
That's right. I know people have their mixed views on that, because even the tenants on Ray Street, and as Denise could attest in Spanish Village too, probably, that there's this issue when you have people that are gallery hopping. What is it really about? Is it about buying artwork, or is it about the experience? To me, I'm a gallery hopper. You know, I'm upfront about that. I'm not there to buy the artwork. I'm there for the community experience of it. And so even the events that I put on, I don't consider those for artists to sell work. You know, those are outlets for them to show, but the bottom line is not about selling. I try to be as upfront about that as possible.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I think that one of the things that a lot of artists don't understand when they first start showing their work is that you probably won't sell any art, but you have gotten that exposure that you otherwise would not have gotten. You get to have your face in the public with your art. And that's sort of one of the things about this show that it was based on is getting artists out there and getting more exposure for the artist with their art. And my whole purpose of having you on my show is because you're one of those people in San Diego that do help artists get exposure. And that's, I think it's I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I kind of think it's one of your passions, is to help artists, whether they're musicians or visual artists or performance artists.
Yeah, I would say, that is accurate. I know I just said that selling isn't a priority, but you're right. I mean, in terms of giving them that platform, that voice, that is a major passion of mine. And that stemmed from my own background at USC Film School, that I graduated, and there I was trying to make it in Hollywood. And I was one of 24 kids in the program, and we were the best and the brightest going to take on Hollywood. And I got a manager pretty much right out of the gate, but I was as low as could be on the totem pole, on the roster, because I was 22 and didn't know anything, didn't know anyone, and even my writing skills weren't as seasoned as some of the people that have been out for several years in the industry. And there was very little support for that. It was like, you basically don't have the value, so, you know, come back when you do have the value. And
how do you get the value?
That's the catch-22, which is really my problem, not theirs. And so, that ultimately, I think, was one reason why I stopped screenwriting when I was 26 after 4 years, and really before that, always wanting to be a screenwriter, was to create these experiences for people through film, and now I do it through events. It's really the same thing.
It is the same thing,
Yeah, only now I get to wear the hat of producer, director, and head of marketing and distribution and everything. I love it. It's great. But the fact that there was no one there that really was honing in on people like me, and unless it was these people looking to charge $1,000 to have my script read by them or something, which is a lot different than what I do. But yeah, I think it really came from there, like why I honed in on the local artists and why I do something specifically for them.
Well, I don't think that I've ever been in a show other than at the Queen Bee that you were even at, but I knew you. Well, see, I've known you like for 3 years now, 4 years, close to that. So obviously, even though you and I had never hooked up with my exhibiting someplace where you were at, I saw you around town, and I saw what you were doing, and I really appreciated it, because I have such a passion myself of giving more exposure to artists, whether they're musicians, performance, or visual artists. And I think that somebody like you, with what you do, is such an integral part of the art community. And it's so awesome to see you out there and doing it.
No, thank you for saying that. And the term promoter tends to have certain connotations with people. Like, if I were to ask you, what's the adjective that most commonly gets placed in front of promoter, what would you say?
I don't know, event.
Yeah?
Event.
It rhymes with sneezy.
Oh, sleazy.
Yes.
A sleazy promoter. Okay.
Yeah, that's the cliche that comes with it. And that's not really getting into the promoter's world, to say the least, if someone were to say that. And because certainly when I was starting out, less so now, but when I was starting out, just trying to make the shows happen, but also trying to make a living off of it, there were things that when you look at from the outside could be interpreted as sleazy or labeled as such. But, you know, I've been around long enough to where I know how to really put the best parts of myself out there, and I want to really kind of change the conversation people have about sleazy promoters, because they're just cutting themselves off.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like how there was this one act that I don't have to name, but it was this phenomenal dance act that I saw when I first started out, and then I really wanted to book a larger show for them and bring in some like bands and other stuff and make it a bigger thing. I could see it in my head. It's that artist side of me. I saw the whole show. I could see how big it could be and touring and all that, but something from her past or whatever told her sleazy promoter, and maybe I was too eager for her taste or whatever. And so all those visions and what I could offer them, you know, never came to be.
Right.
It was just, she just swatted away. And then, of course, like me, I'm not going to work with someone. And just like that, it was just not worth it for me. And so I moved on. And this person is no further along than they were 3 years ago. That's just fact.
Yeah. Well, one thing I know about you is that you're such a hard worker. And any dealings that I had with you when you were promoting and you were actually working with Alma Rodriguez, is you were so upfront with us.
Yeah.
Really upfront. Maybe it wasn't something we wanted to hear, but we knew it was the truth coming from you. And that's, you know, that's very, very refreshing, you know. So
that's one way of putting it,
No, I mean, it was like you were there. You had a big presence, and you were there a lot, you know. It's not like you made a phone call every once in a while. You were working hard at your dream, you know.
Yeah, and I think that hopefully comes through in the events too, is that
it does.
Every detail is really accounted for. So I'm very sensitive to, say, dead space within the event. If there's like, even if it's 10 foot wide where there's like nothing going on, I'd say that's a problem. And we are not going to just let that be. You know, that there has to be something there going on, whether it be an exhibitor or a live artist painting or something there to keep that energy flow. And it's a lifestyle too, you know, like all of this, the fact that Alma, I consider a very close friend now. So even when I go down there to, you know, talk about the next Sight and Sound that we're doing, it's half social call too. I mean, this is really the community that I'm a part of. And so I love it. I don't separate work from friends at all.
Yeah, and it comes across when you're dealing with somebody. You can see it. You know, I as an observer can see it. You know, and I think that's really an important aspect of what you do. You're very personable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Not only that, but you know, you're usually very happy. That's really contagious. And you have a lot of energy, and that's always a good thing. So tell me a little bit about Sight and Sound.
So Sight and Sound was my flagship event. I started in March 2008, and that was at Bamboo Lounge in Hillcrest. And probably to this day is still what I'm best known for. We relocated to North Park in October '08 with Gustav Ruth, and it was on Ray Street. So it made sense to me to bring the Sight and Sound event, which was more rock band driven, but still had the art show and DJ components to it, to Ray Street. So we did 10 of them there, and then moved to a venue called Architecture on 30th. We did 5 of them there, and then to Queen Bee's, where we've been ever since. So that was a monthly that we did up until July last year, and then we went on a hiatus, and we'll be returning now. We're bringing it back this spring or summer.
This summer. And where are you going to have them?
At Queen Bee's.
Awesome.
Yeah, at Queen Bee's. So it'll be held quarterly. And, so every 3 months on a May, August, November, February kind of cycle. But this is a really exciting time for me because I'm getting a staff and manage a venue too on top of it. I'm no longer just a one-man show running around with my 17 posters. And it's a really exciting time, as I kind of realized that I had gone about as far as I could go just by myself.
By yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's no longer someday, like it's happening now. Like I'm getting an office now, I'm getting an assistant now. I'm going to Mesa College and speaking to them to recruit their event management class to be my interns. Now all this is happening.
Wow.
And once
bust and lose, huh?
Yeah, and once I made that decision, just everything just started lining up. There was no turning back. Even the fear of it doesn't really factor in because I know that this is the path. That's one thing I was very lucky to grow up with, I think, was no sense of my own limitations.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
And who do you think you got that from?
I would say my mom and dad. You know, they really told me that that's just the fact. That's the reality. You can be anything you want. You have everything you need to accomplish everything that you want. And they were and are very successful in what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they just made it very clear that whatever path I took on was completely fine by them.
That's very good.
Yeah, there was never, this is what you're going to be with your life, this is what you're going to study, you know. I don't know if they were elated that I would want to be a screenwriter or not, but they said that if you commit to it, you will be very successful. Mm-hmm. And they're right. If I had stuck to it, I would have been. Mm-hmm. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's never been that uncertainty in myself, and I see the futility of like having that uncertainty that we do have a choice, you know, mm-hmm. to like give into that or not. It's human. If you don't feel that, then you're not human. But I choose not to focus on that. Focus on the positive, because mm-hmm. it's not ultimately not about me. It's about attendees. It's about how my life can impact other people.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty directly so. You know,
yes.
But using myself to positively impact others.
Yeah, and I think that a goal or a purpose, as you just stated, is probably one of the higher goals and purposes that you could have. I mean, to inspire others, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of artists, it would behoove them to recognize that it's not about you. That it's about what you can contribute to others. Mm-hmm. And I think therein lies the meaning of life. I mean, to me, mystery solved. You know, quit mm-hmm. asking yourself. The meaning of life is how you positively impact others. And once you accept that and you take that on, then your own fear and, you know, feeling overwhelmed by your circumstances, all that stuff tends to matter less, because it's not just about you. And then like quitting and saying that it's too hard, all that feels suddenly very petty. Mm-hmm. To me, it feels like a temporary thing that you just kind of let go, because your life is not just about you. Now that said, you don't become a martyr and like you're not stupid about it, of course. Or you're suffering in the process of serving others. But I do believe that when you live from your passion, that the common thread with humanity is that it's something that benefits other people. That's where you find your deepest reward, is through benefiting others, and your greatest personal success. Oprah being an example of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. You have something that I had not noticed before, John Block Creations?
Yeah.
What's that?
JB Creations. So that's my production company.
Oh, okay.
Name. Yeah, so I founded that in late 2009. And originally as a partnership, Sight and Sound, I still co-produced with Adam Rosen.
Right.
And who now heads up Art Around Adams, which he and I did together in 08 and 09, but I stepped down after 09, so he heads that up himself in Normal Heights. But yeah, I think I function better as a sole proprietor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I know that Art Around Adams is a big thing to put on. I was part of that for a couple years, but my life has kind of moved in another direction, so I'm not out there right now doing that. But yeah, so JB Creations is just you.
Yeah, it is.
That's cool.
Founder, CEO. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you get to do whatever it is, whenever you want to do it. You just do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, which is a great thing.
Yeah, and it's gambling, you know, every time. And there's really no one that I know of that does it quite the way that I do, where there's very little for-hire work. Every mm-hmm. time is a business strategy mm-hmm. that you hope that your revenue exceeds your expenses, and it doesn't every time, but you hope that in the long term it does.
Yeah. And
now I'm accountable for other people, too, that I'm bringing on board.
Right.
I like to think I know a little bit what I'm doing now by this point. And, mm-hmm. But yeah, I love it, and I am freed up more to do what I do best, which is the creative stuff, which is really coming up with new ways to reach people. So an event that I'm really excited about is my Here and Now event, which is...
Tell me about that.
Here and Now was one that I did this past January, because I got the idea in November. Actually came to me when I was taking a nap.
Oh, good.
And
another dream.
And I saw the whole thing. It was a convention for New Year's resolutions.
Oh.
The whole idea is that people are most willing to take on their lives at the new year, and yet there was no event for that. There's no community coming together for this. And it struck me that that was a void. And also, too, the fact that everyone makes New Year's resolutions, and that's probably a good business to be in, you know, in terms of who it could appeal to. So I did the Lafayette Hotel on January 16th, and the response was strong. And so what occurred for me is that just doing it once a year was not really honoring the commitment to help people gain access in their lives to whatever they want. You know, for people who want change in career or romance, health, fitness, you know, personal growth, whatever matters to them, the idea of having an arena for that, I decided to do it twice a year. So June 26th, Lafayette Hotel. The CEO of the Deepak Chopra Center, David G., is my keynote speaker.
Wow.
My personal friend, Rob Hagee, creator of Street Scene, will be one of the speakers as well. Just kind of bringing together iconoclasts and people that have really achieved a considerable amount, and I think it's a source of inspiration. But I do believe that we live in a really exciting time. They say a transition from the material world to the spiritual world. And I see that. And that's definitely come through in my relationship with me and my events, certainly, where it's really about how do I impact people as much as possible. I do have more of a spiritual sense, I guess, when it comes to that. So I really am excited about that one. It's different than my other ones, which were more like there's the stage and there's a bit, and then the alcohol, that was a big part of it. So that's a major difference there, and it's all ages.
That's cool. So that's going to be June 26th then?
Yeah. Here and now, the tagline is a convention on capitalism, spirituality, and other playful endeavors.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's very cool. Wow. Yeah, I think that that's an awesome idea, you know, taking, you know, from New Year's resolutions. And midpoint through the year is perfect.
That's what it occurred for me. I hadn't intended that, you know. It's an organic thing where it's, I think you can't have a formula every time, not in what I do, because people will catch on to that. You need to have a consistency there, but to change it up. But this one was such a left turn for me when I came up with the idea, but I thought, well, it's a good idea and I wanted to do it, so I did it. And
it's great that you have that freedom to do that, though, you know? It's really wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, you just, again, be smart about it, keep your expenses low.
Yeah.
And then just do what you want.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Wow, well, we're coming to the end of the show, and well, maybe another 4 minutes or so. And so I just wanted to thank you so much, not only for being on my show, but for what you are doing for other artists in our community.
Oh, thank you.
It's just absolutely wonderful that you're here and you're doing it. And I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that. I also haven't mentioned Art Lab, which is in Normal Heights on Adams Avenue. So as it turned out, when I was expanding my company and needed an office to bring on staff, I called up Jim Uran, whom I'd known from doing art around Adams back in 2008. And I knew he had some artist studio spaces there. Thought maybe there'd be a spare office or something. And turns out he needed someone to manage the space. And so that's what it worked out. I've taken on that role of being manager. So booked out the artist studio spaces. We have a membership platform where an artist can come in for just $25 a month, and then they get to have a place to work, a professional place to work.
Wow.
And then access to all the Art Lab happenings. So I've been in charge of the programming too. So I'm looking for cool programming to bring there, cool art shows or performing events, this stuff to have there. It's kind of nice being on the other side of it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I just want to thank you again. It's been really a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you, Lori.
And you are watching Community Artist Connection. My name's Laura Thompson, and this is part of San Diego County Community Coalition. And what we are doing is we are taking charge of our own media. And we're going to bring stories to you. We're going to let you see people who are doing something that benefits the community, people who are doing extraordinary things and happy things, joyous things, things that are good for you, not all those other things. And we now have 3 shows on the air. My show, you're watching it right now, which is on every Thursday night at 9:30. And then we have Walter Davis's show on Sunday at 5 o'clock, and that is Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things, Progress in San Diego. And then at 6 o'clock, it's Elise Smith Cooper's show, and that is Tapestry of Concerns. These shows are put on and are staffed by volunteers. So if you want to be part of one of the volunteers and learn how to use the camera or use the soundboard or the character generator, or be a director, be a producer, call the number at the end of the show or go to the website and we'll get you hooked up and you can be on your way. It's a wonderful, rewarding thing to do. I absolutely love coming here and doing my shows and meeting all the wonderful people that I can bring to your house so that you can watch them on this show. And this is Community Artist Connection. Check out the number at the end of the broadcast and the website. And I want to thank John one more time for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And good night. Thank you for watching.
Inside myself, trying to find your love. No, you just don't know how good you and I will be. Yet I've decided to trust in the spirit of the love. No, knowing that when it decides to play, you and I will simply fly away to the essence of
Could love drive you to fly? Could hope be the only way? And would it be a crazy question? Would you take it all and throw it all away? Take me down to the final decision, and the world will break apart today. Take me down to the final decision, and the world will break apart today. And the world will break apart today. Could freedom be between the lines? Enjoy a life foundation springing up to find that every thought will lead to nothing, no matter how hard you try to define. Take me down to the final decision, and the world will break apart today. Take me down to the final decision, and the world will break apart today. I open my arms to the end of time. I got one hand on a mummy and the other on a green tree, orange-eyed gecko. I got one foot on the street in the village, and the other in a mine under Colorado sunshine. under Colorado sunshine. Could you stand in the way of progress? Could you laugh it off and say, I'd let it all fall down and let the rhymes come. I'd waste away and let the roots grow around some. Take me down to the final decision, and the world will break apart today. Take me down to the final decision, and the world will break apart